Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Sprockets. I did a video on this a while ago showing off all of my variants of this, the Castle infantry tank, based on the Churchill, sort of like as a sort of competitor to the Churchill. So this is the prototype, and before I show you the newest tank line that I've been doing, which is the Cheetah cruiser tanks here, I just want to show off a new variant of the infantry tank that I made, which is this thing, the anti-tank version of the Mark I Castle. So you will notice some similarities between it and the Churchill gun carrier, and that's because well, it is just sort of based on the Churchill gun carrier as best as you can sort of do it in Sprocket. So here we are. It's got a long-barreled 76mm 17-pounder gun, and as you can see, it has got an azimuth, so it can sort of pan left and right without moving the hull. There you go. We can just shoot. There we go. It's got about a 7 seconds reload time. There's the gunner's sight right there in the middle. You've got a bow machine gunner. You've got the driver there, commander's cupola, crew hatches at the back, and one more there for getting in and out. Yeah, and it's a decent tank destroyer actually. It's got 150 mils of frontal armor. Mobility wise, it's pretty slow. It's got a V6, you know, Bedford twin 6 engine style engine in it, which makes a maximum of, let's have a look here, 280 RPM, which is there you go, makes 344 horsepower. So yeah, sort of very Churchill style mobility, but yeah, it's a decent enough heavy tank, or heavy tank destroyer rather, here in Sprocket actually. But yeah, that's the only other thing. So I want to show you this thing, the Cheetah lines here, which I've been making. I have got the Longbow tank destroyer, which is a variant of the Cheetah Mark I. It's an interwar tank, so it's going to be actually probably a variant of the prototype there, which is the interwar tank. But yeah, this is just an interwar tank destroyer. As you can see, it's got a very slow turret traverse, or gun traverse, but it's got decent enough, you know, gun arc, as we can see here. And yeah, because it is an infantry tank, or well, based on the cruiser tank, it's just relatively mobile with its upper casemate here. So yeah, this is the Longbow. I'm sure I showed this in the previous video. But what I will be showing, however, is the actual full Cheetah line, and here, starting off with the prototype, the very original interwar cruiser tank with its rubber road wheels. It's got a hull machine gun, or well, a front machine gun turret. It's got a short-barreled 2-pounder in it. There you go, 40 mils, very short-barreled 2-pounder. You know, less than 50 mils of penetration. Yeah, hand crank turret, nearly 15 degrees of gun depression though. And yeah, it's relatively fast, relatively mobile. It's got two big fuel tanks on the back, well, external fuel tanks on the back, spare wheel right at the back of the turret. Yeah, pretty fast firing gun, bang, bang, carries a whole lot of rounds, because you can fit a lot of these shorter shells. Terrible firing on the move, as we can see, trying to hit this explosive barrel. And yeah, it also can't cross trenches, as you can see there. It's just not fast enough and too short to actually cross over the big trenches here, at least. And yeah, so it's just your sort of fastish style cruiser tank rather. Oh, I managed to actually hit two of the barrels there. See if shooting can't get us out of this. No, it's not. But yeah, so there you go. It's just your basic cruiser tank. It's got a V6 engine in it. It's average mobility. But if we move on to the early war tanks, as we can see here, we have got a V8 now in it. You know, going through the trials, it was realised that the tank was too slow for a cruiser tank. The gun wasn't good enough, etc., etc. So now turret's been changed. It's now a point at the back. Still got the front machine gunner based on the early, what are they? Not Centurions. Crusaders. There you go. Based on the early Crusader tanks, which have this front machine gun turret, as you can see, it's actually got a base of machine gun in it. But yeah, single light at the front. It's got a longer barreled 2-pounder now, which does 76 mils of pen. Yeah, faster tank, just generally better. Sloped armour slightly at the sides and the front. Gunner sight, hull, driver sight. Fires still quite quickly as well, just with better penetration. It is, after all, only a 2-pounder gun. It carries a similar amount of rounds as well. And yeah, it's just your faster, more mobile Cheetah. Let's see if it can cross the trench. Yes, it can, because it's much faster. Yeah, terrible armour on these things though. It is a cruiser tank after all. Also, the exhaust changed as well from the Mark I as well. So there are a lot of upgrades on this thing over the Mark I variant. As we get onto the roadway here, let's see how fast we can get up to without firing, because firing will slow us down. 19, 20. It's not that fast for acceleration. The horsepower per ton ratio is probably not the best, but we do have lights, right? Single light in the front because the machine gun would get in the way otherwise. Yeah, 22 miles an hour. Relatively fast. Relatively fast. And as for armour, as you can see, 30 mils of frontal armour, 25 mils of frontal turret armour. If we go back to the prototype, yeah, same, 30 mils, 25 mils. Terrible armour. Only weighs 12.44 tons. The Mark I weighs a little bit more at 12.45, but the Mark II has got the same armour, again, early war tank. Mobility wise, similar sort of engine. Generally though, just a better gun. 47 mils, 3-pounder gun, 82 mils of penetration, some slight changes. No front machine gun either. The front machine gun turret was taken away. Big hatch instead. 2 lights. Front gunner. Tracks on the side. Spare wheel. Extra radio mast. That's all the general major changes. Generally though, just the improved 3-pounder gun. Similar sort of rate of fire, just better penetration. Less rounds carried though, because it is a bigger shell with a longer shell as well. But yeah, generally it's just faster, more mobile, better acceleration, as we can see here, zooming along. And yeah, generally just a faster cruiser tank. Also front tracks on the side. What? Also spare tracks on the lower glacis. It's a very big frontal glacis. That's a theme. That's a theme that will continue throughout the various variations here. But yeah, still Commander's Cupola on the top. Single hatch there as well on the turret to get around. Also Matilda turret, or Matilda gun mantlet rather as well. Yeah, lots of gun depression though, as we can see here. You can shoot basically in front of us. So, yeah, if you ever needed to poke over a ridge. There you go, up to 24 miles an hour. That's the fastest we can get to. But yeah, still relatively fast tank. Also doesn't weigh all too much. Not too much has changed with the Mark III. With the Mark II rather. Mark III, going into the mid-war here, has an upgraded gun, 57mm 6-pounder gun, 127 mils of pen. Short barrel though. It's a short barrel sort of Crusader style gun as well. So yeah. As for the rest of it, better sloping on the front as well. Instead of being just a flat and then slight slope, it's now slope and slope back down. Lower glacis is slightly less large. Still spare wheels, still pointed rear turret, different rear engine layout, more vents, different different exhaust. There you go. Don't know why I was struggling with that. And also different hatches, more crew hatches for better escaping of the crew. Still tracks on the spare tracks on the side. We've got some stowage, more stowage on the side. We've got the good old log. Also, mobility-wise, it's got an even bigger engine for an even better speed and power. Also, very fast turret traverse, as we can see here. And the gun fires relatively quickly. Still an under 5-second reload time. Terrible firing on the move still. Slightly longer, I think, as well. I might have made this, I'm not too sure though. But yeah, it's still a pretty fast medium tank. Or well, pretty fast cruiser tank rather, with the British style side armour covering the covering parts of the hull where the wheels aren't. And as you can see, we're even faster. 28 miles an hour. There you go, up to the top speed quite quickly, quite fast acceleration, 28 kilometers an hour, 28 miles an hour, which yeah, is pretty decent. Basically, just a response to the heavier German mediums coming around from the mid-war. Some more Panzer IVs, more better armoured, better well-equipped Panzer IIIs. So the Cheetah needs to be upgraded, and so yeah, here it is, the upgraded Cheetah. And if we look at the armour as well, yeah, 50 mils of frontal armour, which is a big boom, as well as a I think I might have changed the cheeks of this thing to be more in towards the Matilda gun mantlet. But yeah, generally just a better armour on the Mark III. As for the Mark IV, again better armour, again due to German responses of stronger tanks. Mobility-wise as well, even bigger engine for even better mobility. Longer barreled 6-pounder gun as well for 138 mils of pen. That's about 10 more mils, which every little helps. Other than that though, not much changed. Let me just see. Yeah, I think the tank was elongated. Yeah, the tank was definitely elongated from how it was. Weighs nearly 20 tons. But yeah, better armour, better mobility, better firepower, generally a better model of Cheetah. Not too many major differences other than that. Still an under 5-second reload time, just about. I think it is, yeah, 4.6-ish seconds. I think if we run into an explosive barrel, the crew gets heavily injured, but then that's explosive barrels for you in Sprocket. I think we should therefore have a higher top speed as well because of the improved engine. Should definitely have better acceleration. And I think the turret keeps on getting bigger with the bigger guns as well. Yeah, there you go. Still around 27 kilometers, 27 miles per hour rather, which it's not too bad. It's around the same as the Mark III, which is what you want. You don't want to be having the tank getting too much slower with each variant that passes. But yeah, basically just the longer barreled 6-pounder gun is the main takeaway from the Mark IV. The Mark V is, I think, the last mid-war tank, and it gets a 17-pounder gun. Or sorry, no, it gets a 75mm gun. Yes, instead of the 6-pounder, it gets a 75mm gun. And sort of 75mm Vickers. Not too much changed. Longer turret, more logs. And that's about it. Better armour, I think, as well. 75mm of frontal armour, same as a Cromwell. Still with the sloping, minor changes, I think, to the sloping as well. Minor changes to the side sloping as well. As you can see, the hull has been slightly elongated to go over the track guards or mud guards. It weighs 25 tons now as well, but it does have the better 75mm gun with 154mm of penetration rather, and of course once again a better engine, V10 this time, upgraded from a V8 to a V10, 16-litre V10. As for turret traverse is still relatively fast, as we can see. There you go, very nice. And of course the 75mm responds to the 75mm Panzer IVs and the Panthers as well. So yeah, generally just a response to the more heavily armed Panzers, which were getting 75mm as standard, and also a response to the Cromwells and all that getting introduced with 75mm, same as the Churchills all getting 75mm, and the Castles as well getting 75mm, although they had 75mm from the start. Yeah, still same sort of top speed, 27 miles per hour for a rapid cruiser tank, which is not too bad. Extra tracks on the back of the turret as well, still with the pointed turret, 2 radio masts, spare wheels, spare track links, everything that you could possibly need, spare tools, everything that you could possibly need for a cruiser tank out in the wild. Out, it's like as we crash into a tree and nearly kill the crew. But yeah, there you go. That's the Mark V cruiser. Or Mark V Cheetah. Now the Mark VI Cheetah, as you can see, very different. We're now into the late war, D-Day, etc., etc. Invasion of Italy has commenced and been a success. The Cheetah has had a massive jump up to 35 tons, but it does have a 20-litre V10 in it now. I think the hull is slightly longer as well, the turret is obviously bigger, and as you can see there's spaced armour on the top, on the turret. I don't know why, I just thought put some spaced armour on it would look kind of cool. Nothing too much has really changed with the front, or anything really. As you can see, the turrets, when I put the new hatches on, the viewports went in them, because I thought that looked kind of cool. Not too much else has changed. Armour though has gone up to 85mm of frontal armour, in the same way as the Centurion had sort of 80mm of frontal sloped armour to deal with the German 88s at range. The Cheetah has also got 85mm of frontal armour at a pretty decent sloping to deal with the 85s, or 88s rather. Also, gun has been improved, 250-metre long barrel, 76mm 17-pounder, 187mm of pen, so we're getting into sort of the late war Comets, which mounted 17-pounders, also sort of Sherman Fireflies, and the Black Prince, which never entered service, stuff like that, all of which had 17-pounders on to deal with the later German Cats. So Cheetah Mark VI gets a 17-pounder. Yeah, mobility-wise, like I said, engine has been improved, and armour-wise, you got better side armour, better frontal armour, generally just better armour all round. And the gunner's sight has been slightly obscured to the right due to the inclusion of spaced armour, but the 17-pounder now, 7.6-ish second reload time. Crossing over trenches, absolutely no problem. Shoot an explosive barrel for good measure. The tank is, I think, probably slightly slower than it was before due to all of the improved armour and improved systems, even with the bigger 10-litre engine, V10 engine rather, 20-litre engine. Let's see how fast we can get up to. I've not actually tested these on road to see how fast they go, but 28 miles an hour. Oh no, it's definitely faster. Yeah, 30. 31. Yeah, so this is meant to be sort of heading into the main battle tanks era of tanks. So that's why it's sort of got this spaced armor, got the more sloped front, etc. I'm trying to make this into a sort of early main battle tank style. So yeah, 17-pounder for the better gun. All the armor you could need, mobility, and everything that you could possibly want as well. Just sort of a competitor to the Centurion almost, but keeping in with some of the Cromwell and British cruiser tank themes, such as having no return rollers, and all of that British jazz. Yeah, not too sure how much help the spaced armour is, but against high explosive it's definitely going to be useful. And let's just jump off a cliff, shall we, onto the beach. Oh, there you go, boing, boing, and you can see the suspension going. And there you go, we hit the invisible wall of the edge of the map. But yeah, so there you go, that is the Cheetah Mark VI. I'm actually going to move the turret forwards there. There you go. Because the Mark VII, the final version of the Cheetah here, another late war tank, 100 mils of frontal armour, sloped, plus extra add-on armour at the front, extra add-on armour at the side, just using more fender bits. But as you can see, underneath there is still stuff. So basically lots of spaced armour to deal with heat and hesh and all that. Better spaced armour around the side because the turret had to get bigger due to the fact that we have got 105 mil now in it with 203.9 mils of pen to deal with King Tigers. To deal with King Tigers and Jagd Tigers and all of that. It does weigh 42 tons, however. But for a 105 mil gun mounted in this thing with all the spaced armour and the 100 mils of frontal armour. Same with the turret as well, 100 mils, 80 mils of side, 50 mils of rear. Just generally lots and lots of armour. Mobility wise as well, 25 litre V10, even bigger engine, which makes at maximum 885 horsepower, which gets the cruiser tank around quite nicely. And a lot of the stuff had been removed, as you can see, because it doesn't sort of mesh well with how Sprocket does this stuff. But even so, off we set with our 105 gun. Bit of a long reload time. It is a big gun mounted in a rather small turret. 12.1-ish second reload time, but that's generally the same for all of Sprocket. It's just how Sprocket does reload times, I think. Also, the exhausts have been changed as well. They've had to be mounted differently due to the different proportions of the tank. The tank was elongated again as well, I think. But yeah, so there you go. This is the final version of the Cheetah, and a bit of a slow acceleration. Let's see if it still gets up to above 30. Yes, it does, above 30 miles an hour. 31, 32. There you go. We just keep on climbing. But yeah, so this is the final version of the Cheetah, and this is the new cruiser line that I've had for a while at least. I've just made like 5 new variants. Well, more than that, probably like 6 different new variants of it. But yeah, that was the line, all the way from the interwar period with the prototype down to the main battle tank style of the Mark VII. So I'll thank you for watching, and goodbye.